Welcome to the Smart Weight Loss Coaching Podcast. I'm Dr. Lisa Olson, a board-certified weight loss medicine specialist and certified life coach. In this podcast, I'll share fresh insights and effective techniques for incorporating mindset, habit change, and proven science into your life. Are you ready to achieve sustainable weight loss, wellness, and longevity? Then let's jump in and lose weight the smart way. Welcome back. Did you ever see the movie Sleeping Beauty as a kid? In the original fairy tale, she sleeps for 100 years. Or did you read about Rip Van Winkle, who slept for 20 years and then woke up with a long white beard? The theme of falling asleep for many years and then waking up to a new reality is a plot that's been utilized in many books and films because it's fascinating to imagine waking up to a changed world. I thought about Rip Van Winkle when I saw Chris recently. Chris is a distant relative whom I often see at family gatherings. He's the brother-in-law of my brother-in-law. Chris is a nice man who loves his family. That I could always see, but I never felt I knew him at all, even though I see him many times a year. Until last week. For the first time in maybe 25 years, Chris was super engaged and engaging at a family party. And then I remembered my husband mentioning that a few months prior, he had noticed a seismic shift in Chris when they spoke. Here's what changed that we could see on the outside. Chris looked healthier and had clearly lost some weight. No question about that. But what we really noticed was his energy, his spunk, the sparkle in his eye, and his joie de vivre, his exuberant enjoyment of life. This was entirely new. He was no longer sitting on the couch, eating and drinking while watching TV in the back corner of the family party. He didn't wait for someone to approach him on the couch in order to talk. This Chris was standing in the kitchen with the crowd, drinking a big glass of ice water, asking and answering questions. He was laughing, smiling, and seemed so happy. He even brought food for the potluck that he had made himself. Homemade delicious smoked sausage that everyone was raving about. We all wanted to be around this Chris, drawn to him because of his contagious, upbeat energy. Chris started telling us what happened with him almost a year ago. He realized that he was cutting his life short. He wasn't living. He was exhausted all of the time and just didn't feel well. He didn't sleep well, and it was making him feel depressed, although who knows which came first there, the chicken or the egg. Because of his realization, he made a decision. I don't want to live like this anymore, and I'm the only one who can do what needs to be done to change things. And on some level, he must have started to believe that it was possible for him too. So Chris decided that his first step would be to stop drinking things that weren't serving him, whether it was alcohol or sweetened beverages like soda. He switched to plain water. This is something people are often reluctant to do, but it's a game changer if you're drinking anything other than water, black coffee, or plain green or black tea. Rethinking your drink is an ideal place to start when you want to transform your health or your weight. Then Chris decided to address his sleep. You may have heard me say before that the 4 pillars of weight management are nutrition, movement, sleep, and stress. It's really true. Sleep matters, and it impacts our ability to make good decisions for the other 3 pillars. For example, there's data showing that when we don't get enough sleep or we get poor quality sleep, it impacts our food choices the next day. And then those poor food choices in turn impact our sleep the next night. It's a vicious cycle. So Chris saw his doctor and asked to be tested for sleep apnea, which he had long suspected he had because of his snoring. Sure enough, he did have apnea, and once he started using a CPAP machine, his sleep quality improved and he felt much more awake and alert during the day. His energy improved from this alone. By the way, if you have a BMI, a body mass index of 30 or higher, there's about a 40% chance that you have sleep apnea. So if your BMI is elevated, if you snore, or if your bedmate says you stop breathing at times, it's definitely worth getting tested for sleep apnea. Please talk to your primary care provider about that. Coming back to Chris, each time he made a small change, he felt the impact, and it inspired him to consider what's next. What he did next was to turn his attention to his food, specifically eating when he was hungry and stopping when he had enough. Portions changed, as did the quality of the food he chose. He started shopping the perimeter of the grocery store and choosing foods that were fresh and healthy. He's eating lots of vegetables and lots of fresh food now. Chris also started reading the ingredient labels on the food he bought and had a big surprise when he realized that the majority of food we consume, food that comes in a package, is ultra-processed. Approximately 60% of the food consumed by adults in the United States is ultra-processed. Even worse, that number is 70% for kids. I actually had a pretty shocking moment in the grocery store myself today. I wanted to buy some heavy cream to use in a salmon and corn chowder recipe. I looked at the ingredient list for all 5 of the brands of heavy cream that they sold at a nearby grocery store. Every single one of them was ultra-processed. Let's pause for a moment to clarify what exactly does this mean. Well, if there's one ultra-processed ingredient, then we consider it an ultra-processed food or an ultra-processed product. Most of the cream had a gum on the ingredient list, gelin gum, like Horizon brand cream, and some had guar gum. Land O'Lakes and Kemp's brands heavy cream had mono and diglycerides and polysorbate 80. Lucerne brand had carrageenan, and Good and Gather, Target's brand, has mono and diglycerides, carrageenan, sodium phosphate, and sodium citrate. Yikes. In case you're also in need of some heavy whipping cream for your salmon corn chowder, I finally found one that isn't ultra-processed. It's the 365 brand at Whole Foods. Their heavy cream's only ingredients are organic cream and organic milk. But don't think you can skip reading ingredients just because you shop at Whole Foods. Often enough, their products are ultra-processed too. We have to be mindful of relentlessly reading labels. Now that we understand ultra-processed foods have been linked to weight gain, Alzheimer's disease, type 2 diabetes, certain types of cancer, heart disease, and premature death, we have a compelling reason to read ingredient labels every single time we buy something that has a label. Let's go back to Chris. He started sleeping better, drinking water, eliminating alcohol, reducing his ultra-processed food consumption. He also cut down on sugar, and he was really seeing results in terms of how he felt. So I asked him, what about any change in your movement? And you know what he's doing? He's walking 2 miles a day now, every day. It's easy to get into all or none thinking. Some of you are former athletes or were really active in the past. You wouldn't have considered walking to be real exercise. It's time to let go of that all or none thinking. It's not serving you if you think walking doesn't count as exercise. In Chris's case, it counts a lot. Doing anything consistently, anything you do every day, is going to truly add up to a life-changing and weight-changing outcome. especially when you fast forward 1 year to see what just a modest amount of activity can do for you. Start today, friends. Your future self will thank you. One thing Chris recently added is some intermittent fasting. In case you're not familiar with it, intermittent fasting is an approach to eating that involves shortening the time window in which you eat and lengthening the number of hours that you go without eating. In theory, this gives your body a break from insulin, as well as other hormones related to eating and digestion. A common way to do intermittent fasting is to eat within an 8-hour window and then to fast for 16 hours every day. There are many other ways to structure intermittent fasting, which we'll talk about in more detail in an upcoming episode. Chris isn't eating at night after dinner anymore, and he's no longer eating breakfast. That alone reduced the number of hours in his eating window. The data on the benefits of intermittent fasting for weight loss isn't strong, but some people like to do it for the metabolic benefits. There is a strong health argument to be made for intermittent fasting. In fact, these days, Chris most often eats one meal per day or one main meal and then a lighter second meal, and that's working well for him. What I like most about Chris's story is that he's chipping away at his health goals, making changes one step at a time. He's starting with things that feel doable, like drinking water and walking, and then he dials it up without a lot of drama. He just finds something that feels better and goes with it. And he's not beating himself up when things aren't perfect. And as he's making these healthy changes, what I'm seeing is that he's waking up from a very long sleep. Just like Rip Van Winkle. He's living again. He's truly like a different person who emerged from a fatigue-fueled fog. I can't wait until the next family party to really get to know more about Chris. The other thing I'd like to highlight is that Chris is losing weight, but the process is slower than you might imagine given all of the changes that he's made. Like all people I see who have success losing large amounts of weight, he is patient, incredibly patient. Not getting frustrated by the scale is a big predictor of success, in my experience. Losing 15 pounds in 10 months seems to be fine with Chris. His point is to get healthy and let the weight loss be a side benefit of his healthy lifestyle. There's no question that this movement on the scale is just the tip of the iceberg. Chris is in this for the long haul, making changes he can stick with and patiently believing that the scale will catch up with his effort over time. I know he's right. One of the biggest predictors of long-term weight loss success is showing up over and over again and continuing to practice the habits that will lead to good health, even when it takes longer than you expect to see a change. As you think about Chris's story, is there anything you'd like to write down as your NBA, your next best action? Something he's doing that you think might help you too? Come on, smarties, write it down. Repeat it. Remind yourself that you can do it. It's my honor to give a shout out to you, Chris, for the inspirational story you agreed to share with my listeners. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for listening. If you'd like more support during your smart weight loss journey, check out our group coaching program at smartweightlosscoaching.com. Until next time, stay well and stay smart.